Hi guys, please share and subscribe the channel. Loki, Master of the Multiverse. Part 1. Shattered Reflections. The endless corridors of the TVA gleamed under their sterile light, an artificial glow that stretched into infinity. The hum of the chronomonitors whispered through the air like a chorus of trapped souls. Loki Rborn, the god of mischief, stood alone at the edge of a precipice that wasn't a ledge, but a tear in time itself. He had survived. He had defied he who remains. And now he was lost. The TVA no longer remembered him. Mobius, his unlikely companion, now eyed him with suspicion, and Hunter B-15 treated him as an intruder. It wasn't his TVA anymore. It wasn't his timeline. He was a stranger in a familiar place, a shadow stripped of meaning. The multiverse had been unleashed. Infinite realities branched and twisted, untamed and ungoverned. And within their chaos, Loki found something unexpected: power. Chapter 1. The Fracture. Loki gazed into the tear before him, a swirling mass of color and darkness, where stars were born and annihilated in the blink of an eye. He felt it call to him, a siren song of potential and despair. "Is this what you wanted, Sylvie?" he whispered, his voice cracked and heavy. A thousand realities unraveling. Every decision splitting into madness. He stepped forward, and the multiverse embraced him. The sensation was unlike anything Loki had known. The Bifrost was crude compared to this. Where Heimdall's bridge was a straight path, this was a storm. Every moment he existed, he was torn into countless copies, each existing in a different thread, only to be reassembled by some impossible will. When he landed, it was not with the grace of a god but with the weight of a broken man. The sky above was crimson, a shattered sun hanging low. Broken Avengers Tower lay crumbling in the distance. Shadows moved across the rubble, not men, not monsters, but something worse. "Where am I?" Loki murmured. A voice answered. Not with words, but with a pressure in his mind. Images of Ultron, of his metal sentinels scouring the earth. This was a world where the Avengers had failed. And Loki understood then. He could move between them. Realities, timelines, multiverses, all within his grasp. He wasn't bound to fate anymore. He was its master. Chapter 2. The New Power. In the weeks that followed, Loki learned to control the fractures. He could tear holes in the fabric of reality with a thought, stepping through the gaps like walking through a door. And with each crossing his powers grew. He learned to split his form, existing in multiple realities simultaneously. To pull strength from one universe and unleash it in another. To rewrite local physics in his favor. His sorcery evolved. No longer limited by Asgardian runes or ancient tomes but guided by the primal chaos of creation itself. In one universe, he crushed an alternate Thanos with a flick of his hand. In another he spoke a word and brought down the Rainbow Bridge. Each victory fed the hunger gnawing at his heart. Not for power, no, not entirely, but for control. For meaning. Because with every world he visited, he saw versions of himself. Some were monsters. Some were heroes. And in all of them, he died unloved. Chapter 3. The Meeting of Shadows. Eventually, he reached a universe much like his own. The earth was vibrant, the sky unbroken, and the people unknowing of the madness beyond their stars. It was the earth of the Avengers, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. Though the latter had long since passed, Loki smiled. This was the one. If fate was to be challenged, it would be here. He stood atop Stark Tower, no longer Avengers Tower, watching as the heroes gathered below, alerted to the breach in spacetime. Doctor Strange appeared first, his cloak billowing. "Loki," the Sorcerer Supreme called, his voice hard. "This isn't your world." "It is now," Loki answered with a smirk. Wanda Maximoff arrived next, her crimson energy crackling. Then Sam Wilson, Captain America, shield in hand. And finally Thor, the god of thunder. For a moment, brother met brother, and an old pain stirred. "You shouldn't be here, Loki," Thor said. I don't want to fight you. Funny, Loki whispered. Because I very much want to fight you. He raised his hand and reality bent. Chapter 4. The First Clash. The air shimmered as Loki twisted the fabric of this reality. The sky fractured, showing glimpses of other universes bleeding through. One where Iron Man still flew, another where a monstrous Captain America fought his own allies. By the Norns, Thor muttered. Loki unleashed his magic. No longer green but a prismatic, shifting aura that bent space and time. Strange countered with the mirror dimension, but Loki shattered it like glass. Wanda hurled chaos magic, but Loki absorbed it into a pocket reality and reflected it as a storm of mirrored energy. Sam Wilson darted through the air, hurling his shield, only for it to pass through 3 illusions before finding the real Loki, and then being caught mid-flight. Your strength is borrowed, Loki said. Mine is infinite. He struck the ground, and the earth itself screamed. Buildings rose and fell in reverse. People froze mid-step. The sun blinked night and day, stuttering like a broken reel of film. Thor lunged, Mjolnir drawn. It cracked against Loki's conjured blade of cosmic light. Thunder met chaos. It was no longer a battle of gods. It was a battle of fate. Loki, Master of the Multiverse. Part 1. Shattered Reflections continued. Chapter 5. Brother Against Brother. The clash between Thor and Loki reverberated through the city. Each blow between them sent shockwaves that shattered glass for miles. Mjolnir met blades of shimmering multiversal light as Loki fought with a fury and precision that stunned even the god of thunder. Why, Loki? Why now? Thor grunted, pushing against his brother. Because I've seen what comes, Loki growled. I've seen it, Thor. 1,000 deaths, 1,000 betrayals. In every world I am cast aside. In every reality I die a villain. Or worse, forgotten. Thor's eyes softened for a brief moment. You don't have to be, he said. Not here. I can't trust this world's mercy any more than the others. Fate itself is poisoned. And if no one else will fix it, I will. Loki summoned a burst of energy, hurling Thor backward into a collapsing portal. Thor landed with a grunt, only for Strange to step in. I won't let you tear this world apart, Loki. You can't stop me, Loki smirked, but you're welcome to try. The battle raged on. Chapter 6. The Mind's Edge. As the fight spilled across dimensions, Wanda Maximoff reached out with her magic, probing Loki's mind. She saw fragments of his journey, an Ultron-dominated wasteland, a reality where the TVA had enslaved every variant, a dying Asgard under a different Hela. She saw the loneliness, the endless echoes of a god unloved. Her heart ached. Stop this, Wanda whispered telepathically. I see you. I see your pain. Loki's eyes faltered for a fraction of a second, and then his defenses snapped back up. You think you know pain, Scarlet Witch? You think you know loss? He conjured images around her, visions of Vision dying again, of her children crying for a mother who never arrives. The illusions struck deep, and Wanda screamed, collapsing to her knees. Stay out of my head, Loki snarled. Sam darted down from above, shield raised, catching Loki off guard with a slam to the side. You don't get to play God-man, Sam shouted. Loki rose, blood trickling from his lip. Funny, he said darkly. I thought that was exactly what I was born to do. Chapter 7. The Fracturing. The battle's violence reached a tipping point. Strange and Thor combined their might, with Strange conjuring an ethereal net of time loops while Thor battered Loki into submission. But Loki, empowered by his connection to the multiverse's primal chaos, refused to yield. I am inevitable, Loki hissed. Wrong line, buddy, Sam muttered. Loki stretched his hands outward, and with a surge of will, he tore open a fracture that bled light and darkness into the sky. Multiple Earths shimmered in the rift, one dominated by zombie Avengers, one where Loki sat on the golden throne of Asgard, another where the Earth was nothing but ash. The multiverse was unraveling. "Close it!" Strange shouted. But as he moved to act, Loki lashed out, severing Strange's spellcasting hand with a sickening crack. The Sorcerer Supreme fell back, howling in pain. Thor screamed in rage and charged. The brothers collided once more, thunder against chaos. And then silence. Chapter 8, Loki Triumphant. When the dust cleared, the Avengers lay scattered and broken. Thor knelt, bleeding and battered. Wanda lay unconscious. Sam was buried under debris. Strange clutched his ruined hand, unable to cast. Loki hovered above them, a shimmering corona of light framing his silhouette. His eyes glowed with multiversal power. "I warned you," he said quietly. "I didn't come to conquer your world. I came to save it from itself." He turned to Thor. "I was always the expendable one," Loki continued. "In every world I was the scapegoat, the liar, the monster. No more." "Brother," Thor croaked. "You don't have to do this. It's already done." With a wave of his hand, Loki opened a massive portal. The very fabric of reality screamed as the multiverse's barriers were dragged toward it. Worlds flickered in and out of existence around them. And through the breach, others came. Dark shapes, variants of Loki. Some monstrous, some noble, some mad. "An army." "I am not alone," Loki said, his voice both a threat and a promise. He raised his hand. To be continued. Chapter 9. The Council of Lokis. The portal Loki had torn open was not just a gateway. It was a summons. Through it stepped beings both strange and familiar. Some wore the regal armor of Asgard. Others were clothed in tattered cloaks, their eyes hollow from universes that had long since perished. One Loki bore golden horns even larger than the originals, his face lined with age. Another was a woman, regal and cold-eyed, a perfect mirror of Sylvie. There were Lokis with skin of flame, with serpentine forms, with metallic limbs. A child Loki held a blade stained with fresh blood. And at their center came the most terrifying of them all, a Loki who wore a crown forged of dead gods' bones, a tattered cape billowing around him. His eyes twin voids of pure entropy. "This is the earth you spoke of," the bone-crowned Loki sneered. Loki nodded. "The heart of the nexus. The convergence point." Thor struggled to his feet, leaning on the broken handle of Mjolnir. "You brought them here. You would tear reality apart for vengeance." "Not vengeance," Loki said, his voice soft but terrible. "Balance." One of the Lokis stepped forward, an older, weary variant. "And what then, Lofison? When the multiverse burns and only our kind remain, then we rebuild it," Loki answered. "Fools," Dr. Strange spat through clenched teeth. "You'll unravel existence itself." The army of Lokis laughed, a sound like 1,000 knives on glass. Chapter 10. The Avengers' Last Stand. Sam Wilson groaned as he dragged himself from the rubble. His shield was cracked, his suit scorched, but his spirit unbroken. "Cap would have said something heroic right now," he muttered to himself. "Guess it'll have to be me." He looked up at Thor. "What's the play, Thunder God?" Thor wiped blood from his lip. "We die well." "That's not much of a plan." Wanda, barely conscious, reached out weakly. "I can hold them back. A moment." Strange clutched his bleeding hand. "And I can delay the fracture's spread." "Not much, but enough." Sam gritted his teeth. "Then let's make it count." As the Lokis advanced, the last of Earth's defenders stood together, battered, broken but defiant. Thor raised Mjolnir's jagged remains. "For Midgard." The ground trembled as the Lokis charged. Chapter 11. Clash of Eternities. What followed was chaos incarnate. Wanda summoned a wall of hex magic that seared the first wave of Lokis into ash, but more surged through. Thor hurled himself into the melee, swinging what remained of Mjolnir with primal fury, lightning lashing in every direction. Sam weaved through the sky, shield striking from impossible angles, a blur of motion. Strange, teeth gritted, traced shattered sigils in the air with his uninjured hand, closing fractures and sealing rifts. But for every Loki they felled, more appeared. A snake-scaled Loki struck Sam from the air. An eldritch-empowered Loki grappled with Wanda. A trickster Loki splintered Thor's hammer into fragments. And through it all, the prime Loki watched, emotionless. His mind stretched across dimensions, pulling strength from every reality. He could feel infinite versions of himself fighting and dying, and he absorbed their power as they fell, a god feeding on his own inevitability. He spoke a single word, "Enough," and reality obeyed. Chapter 12. A frozen moment. Time slowed. Raindrops hung in the air like suspended diamonds. Flames stilled in mid-flicker. Screams stretched into infinite echoes. Only the Lokis remained in motion, their forms flickering between worlds. Thor struggled against invisible chains. "What is this?" "I control the weave now," Loki said calmly, descending before him. "The multiverse bends to my will." "You'll kill us all," Thor gasped. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I'll remake you." Loki turned to the others. "I offer a choice," he announced. "Join me, or cease to be." Some of the Lokis cheered. Others bowed. But one, the older, weary variant, stepped forward. "No." He raised a trembling hand, releasing a sphere of pure, concentrated time energy. It struck Loki square in the chest. Chapter 13. Betrayal and Awakening. The blast hurled Loki back through realities, shattering the frozen moment. He tumbled through 1,000 dying worlds. A universe where he reigned over the ashes. A world where Hela cut him down. One where Odin begged his forgiveness. One where a lone woman, Sylvie, knelt over his corpse, tears in her eyes. "Why?" The word echoed through each. Loki's heart clenched. He landed in darkness. For the first time since gaining his power, Loki was alone. And in the stillness, a voice spoke. "You seek to master fate, child. Yet you are its creation." Loki turned. A figure emerged from the void. A tall, robed being, its face shifting between he who remains, an ancient Loki, and something older still. "The one who watches. You think you've won," the being intoned. "But you are still a piece upon the board." I broke the board," Loki whispered. "Did you?" The being gestured. A portal opened, showing the Avengers, rising, regrouping. Strange restored, Wanda burning with crimson rage, Thor cradling his hammer's remains. "You cannot escape what you are." Loki's fists clenched. "I can," he growled. "I will." He stepped forward, power crackling once more. To be continued.